Broadcasting from the Keep Moving Forward Creator Studios, it's time for the Athletes of the Titan Games podcast. This limited release show features the stories of the 2019 contestants of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's athletic competition, NBC's The Titan Games. Now here's your host, Katie Galley.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the Athletes of the Titan Games podcast. I'm your host, Katie Galley. In the Keep Moving Forward Creator Studio with me today, I have Titan Games athlete and debt collector, Elisara Edwards. How are you doing, Elisara?
I'm doing okay. How about yourself?
I am doing great. Thanks so much for stopping by and sharing your story with us today.
Appreciate you for having me. Thank you.
Of course. So just to kick things off, I wonder, where did you grow up and how, if at all, was your childhood shaped by athletics?
Well, I was born in American Samoa. I come from 9 brothers and sisters. 5 of us were born on the island, and 4 of us were born in California. So I was back and forth from California, and I kind of was a split when it came to growing up. Places I've been is Alaska for like 11 years, and then the rest of my years in California. And I think having, coming from a big family with 9 brothers and sisters, I think at a young age I've learned to just compete. That was one thing. I wasn't really, we weren't really big on sports growing up. We were just moving around, bouncing, and then, for 9 of I come from a single parent household, and my mom raised 8 of us on our own, and then one of my sisters was adopted. So it's she was given away to my grandma, and my grandma adopted her. So it was just, I think growing up as a kid, competing against each other and everything was like the first part of gaining that competitive spirit. And then we really started finding our niches. I found mine in high school. I wanted to play football, and I didn't. My older brothers were into basketball, and I was pretty much the guinea pig of the football family. And I really excelled when I went to Long Beach Poly High School, and I earned my spot there as a defensive end. And that's kind of like where my setting stone was for football. And just so competing at a young age and trying to find what I wanted to do. I didn't know if I wanted to play, volleyball, track, and I remember watching a documentary of 2 football players. They were from Samoa, Isaac Sokuanga and Pisa Chinoi Samoa. It was a show called Polynesian Power, which The Rock was like the commentator.
Yeah. And
he was pretty much explaining how football impacted these 2 guys from the island's life. What I was very similar to, and I just saw how football created this family bonding where, when it came to football, they used that as a way to show their family, show their religion, and that's why I was like, football has got to be that thing for me because I'm a family guy, and I've always wanted my family to be close. So I thought that using that, that same direction of football, I wanted it to bring my family closer. And that's what really put me into the position I wanted to use football as my main sport. I really love playing volleyball, but I never really pushed anything outside of football, and that's why I kind of laid my ground for what sport I wanted to do.
Yeah, and I mean, it makes sense to feel drawn to that and have that passion for it, feeling that community and that sense of family within the sport, but also wanting it to be something that could bring your family together as well.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, when you started to niche down and you said, your siblings, you all started to find your own path. So when football kind of emerged itself as your path and the sport that you wanted to go after, the niche you wanted to go after, did it take the form of you played in high school and did you have aspirations to go on to the collegiate level and beyond, or did it just stay within the confines of your high school career?
Well, that's a great question. I think when you find a sport that you love, you kind of want to make it your passion.
Yeah.
And early on, I knew that if I wanted to be a great football player, I would have to invest all my time into it, where I would have to sacrifice certain days, just to make sure that come true. Because when I started football, and I felt that the passion for it, I wanted to go to the NFL. Like, I wanted to make that my end-all story, was that I pushed to get to the NFL. Mm-hmm. So, of course, college aspiration was part of that story. And I remember going to Long Beach Poly. It wasn't an easy road. We moved a lot. I went to 4 different high schools when I was a freshman, and so I got to Long Beach Poly my sophomore year. And at Long Beach Poly, they're known for football, and trying to go on and earn a spot compared to all these other people who came and who know about Long Beach Poly and who started from freshmen up, wanted to fight and earn their spot. It's very hard for you to try to come in and take that from them, And so for me, I had to really earn a lot, and then got my starting position in high school. And I think from then on, I felt like because I was able to fight my position, I could fight all the way to the NFL. And so, my little football journey was that I went to a JUCO out of high school. I didn't end up going to any Division I's right away. Earned my spot as a freshman there, and then started sophomore year. 7 games in, I put my ACL. But before that, I got a scholarship to Washington State University, and I signed with Washington State University. So when I tore my ACL, I just was in a recovery mode and getting ready to go out to Washington State. Yeah. And then what happened at Washington State, actually, the coaching staff all got fired. And when they all got fired, it was when I was transitioning to get there, and then they told me that they had to let my scholarship go. So I was pretty much, after my JUCO experience, I was like, okay, I'm done with football. So it was kind of hard for me to see that someone was going to pick me up after, I looked like damaged goods on the field, and coming off of an injury, not knowing what I was going to do. It was a pretty crazy experience. That's where my football passion kind of was tested, if you wanted to say.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think in that transition to thinking that I wasn't going to be doing football anymore, I actually got a call from Long Beach Poly asking me if I wanted to do something for them because Colorado State was busy. It was a crazy experience coming in and out of the rehab for my knee and thinking I was going to play again. It was definitely tested, and then Long Beach Poly came in and said that they wanted someone that from Colorado State wanted to see me, and he asked me if I could do some drills, and I did a couple of drills, and he had me. He said if I wanted to fly out to Colorado State and take a visit. Went out there, and they offered me a scholarship. So it was a crazy turn of events.
Wow. And so when you had that crushing realization, so you tore your ACL, you thought, okay, I'm going to Washington State, but then had that taken away from you. And then you're turning your sights then to Colorado State. But in the midst of that transition, in between thinking that your football career truly was over and then having this other door of opportunity open for you, how did you mentally shift and get right back into gear and ready to continue to pursue your football career at Colorado State?
Well, yeah, that was a crazy transition because the same thing that happened with Washington State happened in Colorado State, where new coaching staff came on board, but they were looking for defensive alignment, and that's why they picked me up, because they were actually scouting somebody from Long Beach Poly, and they're asking for a defensive lineman, and that's when I came on board. And I think at Colorado State, one thing that I felt like I just had to do was always earn my spot. I always felt like, your actions speak louder than your words. Mm-hmm. And if you just show that you're a workhorse, you show that you're going to do whatever is needed to be done, what they ask of you. That's how you earn the respect. That's how you earn a voice. And so I just knew what I usually go to is, just be a workhorse. And ended up getting there You know, I was a little out of shape because I'm coming from like a 12-month sit. And going to, you know, Mile High, Colorado State is like 5,000 feet in the air. The elevation plays a little trick on you every time you work out. And I just had to get really used to it, used to the environment, used to the coaching staff, get used to the way things are ran around there, and try to embed myself in the culture. And that's what really helped me succeed in Colorado State, was just being able to be someone that people can rely on as far as work ethic. And I gained my position there. I started as a defensive end there, and it was a great experience for me.
Yeah, and I mean, that's true. I mean, making that transition and being prepared, so knowing you came in, like you said, a little out of shape, but being ready to be that workhorse, and your actions speak louder than your words. So how are you going to prove yourself? How are you going to set yourself apart? And so knowing what it was going to take to do that, and just deciding that was what you were going to do. And so with your time at Colorado State, when you played, do you have like a most memorable experience, a most memorable game or practice that you played in that sticks out to you?
Yes, there was a couple of them. Like, I played against Alabama at Tuscaloosa, so that was being in that stadium around those fans and how loyal they were. That was like the biggest experience of NFL, like close to the NFL that you're gonna get, you know.
Yeah.
And these guys were pretty much all NFL, you know, athletes. Some of them were already committing to go to the NFL, so that alone was like the best feeling as far as NFL likewise experience. But I think the one game that really that I remember as my defining moment was in senior year. We were going against a team in Tucson, or not Tucson, it was Oklahoma, and we were winning, and then at the end we lost, and at the end, we all usually come into the locker room and we're all taking off our gear and things like that. And I remember the coach calling everybody to huddle up, and I was just so frustrated. I think I had a really good game that night, and then I was taking off my stuff, and everybody was just acting like it was, you know, it was a loss, and it really settled in that I didn't like it anymore. And I remember like the coach was stabbing people, and I was the last one to come, and I was throwing a little tantrum. And really mad at myself because I could have did better for the game that I had. And everybody was trying to calm me down, and I started crying, like I was tearing up, bawling. And then everybody just had a different mood after that. And what was crazy is when we went to that bowl game, we finished the year with a bowl game against Washington State University. And we ended up winning and beating them in this like comeback game. And I remember the athletic director had told me in front of everybody that he remembered that moment where I was having that fit. It was like he knew that it was a change in the way we took losses. I mean, I remember that bus ride home after that loss. It was very quiet, and everybody kind of like sat in. We didn't like losing, and when we played against Washington State, it just showed. And winning that bowl game, it felt good to actually kind of kick karma in the face when it comes to, you know, getting a Washington State University a scholarship, getting cut, and then going to Colorado State, going to a bowl game against Wazoo, and then beating them. That was hilarious. I got the bull ring right here.
That's awesome. I love that, having that chance of redemption and being able to just go after there and show. I mean, you that's really cool that you got to play in that bowl game against Washington State, and I mean, you'd already proved yourself, but show like, hey, you know, I that didn't just stop me, it didn't deter me, it didn't end my football career. I continued and I decided to keep going.
Yeah, I even got a sack that game, so it's kind of
yeah. I love it. That's awesome. And so from there, I mean, having this great experience then at Colorado State, and you, like you said, when you started football, you had aspirations then to go on and play in the NFL one day. So when you were coming up on graduation, did you still have the NFL in your sights? Was that still something that you wanted to pursue, or did you come to a realization that maybe your football career would come to a close once college was over?
Great question, and I actually wanted to paint a little light in this one because this is the moment where, I mean, being an athlete, you kind of been preparing for it, but it's right when it's around the time where it's actually there.
Yeah.
It's like that slap in the face of like, what have you been doing leading up to this moment, right?
Yeah.
And so when Carlos they told me, hey, you come in your senior year, but you're like 10 units away from graduating, and this is where a lot of athletes who, I mean, I had it was a 1 year old. I had my daughter at one at the time of this whole scenario where I was, in the decision of either pursuing my dreams in the NFL or finishing school. And they had told me, hey, if you want to pursue your NFL dream, you would have to discontinue school and you wouldn't be considered a student with Colorado State anymore. But I was short like 5 units, and they told me it was either I, push for the NFL or I'd have to wait and then graduate first and then do that. I chose to graduate first. I felt like just the preparation for the NFL and people always talking to me about how hard it is kind of like deterred my want to actually like push for it. And physically, I just felt like I was ready for it, but my highlight tape at college, at Colorado State, I would say is a little less than what I expected it to be, and so I was very like I was very I would say just hesitant of going to the NFL. So I wanted to make sure I did something that I know was for sure going to help me out and benefit me, was to get my degree. And so I told myself I was going to get the degree and then work for a combine or what's considered pro day for the following year after that, and give me a year to like really improve and hopefully wow those scouts that have come in a year from now from that decision that I made.
And so from there, deciding that was what you wanted to do, have that year and work towards the combine. So then what was that journey like for you? Did it work out in that way? You got your degree and then you spent that year developing yourself and working towards the combine. And then what was the result of that?
Well, so I got my degree in sociology and focused criminal justice. Like I walked the stage, I had my family come out, and it was a great experience, great moment. And then afterwards, I started right away working out, getting in the gym. I started working, getting a job, and then getting ready for the pro day the next following year. And having a daughter, having like a 1-year-old, and my life at the time, it was like it was a great experience to just have her home with the baby, and me working and working out, getting ready for it. It was all a fun experience. And it was in that time frame where I couldn't go work out anymore that it started to hit home how much the NFL dream wasn't looking like it was going to be a reality. My wife at the time, she got sick. It was around baby's 1 year birthday. 1 year birthday, where afterwards we were in California, and she went into the hospital because she had a really bad sunburn, and the reaction on her body is called a butterfly effect, where your body starts to get like heat, like it feels like you're having a sunburn, but it's a crippling one. So she couldn't really walk, and we went in the hospital, and that's when she was diagnosed with stage 4 lupus nephritis. Well, she wasn't diagnosed there. She was actually tested positive for lupus nephritis, and we didn't know how bad it was. And so in California, she was tested positive for it. We went back to Colorado where we lived, and that's when things started taking a toll for the worse. It was in September where we got back to Colorado. I believe it was like the end of September. She had to go in the hospital because she couldn't walk anymore. And because she was always dealing with rheumatoid arthritis, and it was just another flare up of her arthritis, and that was a symptom of lupus as well. And we went in, and that's when she got diagnosed with stage 4 lupus nephritis. Is when she actually went in Colorado, and yeah, it wasn't looking too good for her. She was gaining a lot of water weight because she was going in and out of hospital. They're giving all these medications and things like that, and it was very hard for me to work out, and I wasn't even, at the time I wasn't really caring about anything that had to do with football.
Yeah.
And just making sure baby, was taken care of. It was a difficult time.
Yeah. And that completely makes sense, having your priorities shift at that time. To take care of your family rather than focusing in on football, because you had that passion, you had that love, but you knew that at that time that was something that had to go on the back burner so you could pay attention to what was going on right in front of you.
Yeah.
So from there, go ahead.
And it was so September she went in, October she went in the hospital, and it was always in and out. And I remember she came out for Halloween, and we spent Halloween together. November came is when it got even worse. And that's when they found out that her kidneys were barely functioning, and she had to go on dialysis. And I remember we didn't have Thanksgiving with her. We didn't have Christmas with her, New Year's, and her birthday, which was on January 9th. And those significant holidays right there, it was one of the hardest times of my life, because we were kind of trying to make the best out of the circumstances we were given, and that's why I'm a big man on. I'm a man of faith, and I always trust in God to be the one to help put us through. So I wasn't at that time wasn't really worried about how bad things could get. I was always focused on the positive. That's just something that I'm really good at, is just focus on the positive. Class I was full, and so I trusted that the doctors were going to do what they needed to do. And it was the beginning of January, because kind of towards the middle, where the doctors had said they could do all they could do. They said that her kidneys were failing, and that they wanted to, in order for her to keep going, and they had to do a surgery, and that surgery, the doctor couldn't do it. He was legally couldn't, because my wife at the time, she wasn't a U.S. citizen. She was born in New Zealand, and due to my football career, it kind of put me in a position where something in when it comes to being U.S. I'm a U.S. national. And in order for me to get my citizenship, I had to show that I was, providing for her. I was working, and I couldn't really get a job because of school and trying to go for the NFL. So we kind of didn't have that. I mean, they didn't accept scholarships as a means of income. And so it's something along those lines where she couldn't become a citizen. And so the doctors have said that they literally couldn't do anything. That if they were to operate on her, she would they would lose her license. So we had to get her back to New Zealand towards the middle of January. And this was in like a week time frame. And I don't know how we did it. I mean, I actually know how we did it. It was through the help of a church I was going to in Colorado State. And that church, they helped get the money to help ship Elise and my wife to New Zealand. And got them there within a week's time. I believe it was 2-week time frame, but it took a week of prepping to get the passports and things like that, and the tickets, and send them after we got that news to New Zealand. And I stayed behind, and it was a crazy kind of events.
Man. So she did go back to New Zealand to get the operation?
Yeah, so this is the beginning of 2015, January, where she went to New Zealand and got the operation needed, and her kidneys she was going through dialysis there, and I stayed in the States. I was staying in Colorado because we had a house lease that was due at the end of May, and we lived with roommates. And this was a time where we didn't know what we were going to do. I know that she was going to go to New Zealand, and I was going to stay behind. And this would be a time where I would use to get ready for the pro day, and finish up the house lease and see what things go for there. Where she gets better in New Zealand, comes back, and we continue here in the States. Or the worst case scenario, I cut everything out in Colorado and move out to New Zealand. And when May came around, she wasn't doing any better. And she was waiting on a kidney to be it was like kidney transplant that they were going to do. And so when May came around, I kind of in that position said, you know what, happy wife, happy life. I'm going to cut things out and then move to New Zealand. And that was pretty much the game plan. And it was just between, I think it was March where I made the decision, and in May is when I actually did everything I needed to move out there. Sold everything from Colorado and then got everything back to California with where our families were at, and then I moved to New Zealand in May. So I feel like an easy situation for me to just make sure my wife her health is the best thing the best thing, the thing I was worried about the most. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And so from there, deciding, okay, you were going to leave Colorado, just forgetting about the pro day at that time and moving with your wife. Did you bring your daughter with you?
Well, my daughter went with her.
She went with her already. Okay.
Yeah. In January when my wife flew out to New Zealand, we got my daughter's things and moved her with her. So she traveled with mommy. Gotcha.
So from there, from moving then to New Zealand to be with your wife, be with your family, and just, again, making that the priority, from there, what happened, with your family, with your football career, that brought you to today?
Well, it's crazy. When I moved out there, it was 2 days when I was out there. My wife, she got sick. She had to go in the hospital because they found that she had pneumonia in her lung. And 2 days after she was in hospital, she went into like a week's coma. And at the end of that week, the doctors had told me the only thing that was keeping her alive was insurance. And that was even talking about it now, I always get emotional. And a little thing about that experience, it was the worst experience ever.
Yeah.
That 1 week she was in the coma, I just kept hearing the doctor come back with bad news. And it was like a movie, one of those movie moments where it's a situation where every time the doctor came back and told you, like, hey, it's not looking good, she has this % chance of living, I just hated it. It was just like, I've always had like this phobia of hospitals just because it's always been a bad, like every time I go to hospital, it's always because someone's either dying or they're recovering. And for me, it was always something that I avoided. And just to be in that position, while the most feared position I could be in as far as hospitals, it was happening directly to me. Like, this was my wife on the bed, and the doctor's constantly coming in and telling me it's not looking good. I started asking them questions and really saying, what are you giving her? I mean, is she taking any of the things that you're giving her? They're breaking down nutrition facts to me and saying, hey, we're giving her this. I was Googling what they were giving her. It was pretty much a protein shake that I taken when I was doing football. Mm-hmm. I was like, she's taking a protein shake. You're saying her body not taking it, it's rejecting it. I was getting really mad, and I was starting to find alternative methods that I wanted to suggest to the doctor. And I was like, hey, because she's not taking any of the body. I'm like very simple. I think very simple. I say if the body is not taking something, then it doesn't need it. And so I was telling the doctors, like, yo, her body's not taking it in. He took it from her mouth, and she couldn't get it. Her body wasn't digesting it, and they put it directly into her stomach, and it wasn't taking it. And I was like, so I'm thinking that if her body is fighting an immune system, like an autoimmune disease, her immune system needs to be given a nutrition that's going to need to fight off these diseases. And I was just in that position to feel like I wanted a different outcome than what the doctors kept telling me. And so I told him, hey, her body reacts to this thing. I would rather you give this to her. And the doctor told me that he would lose his license. It was one of those things. He would lose his license if he was to give it to her. And this is in New Zealand. I didn't have power of attorney, so I couldn't make decisions for her, even though I'm the husband. And it was a crazy experience for me. And when they told me, like, hey, there's nothing we can do, I was frustrated to not have any other options. I think, and that's what really built my faith, is that, God, that's my only option at this point. And I just said, you know what, I wanted him to create another miracle for me. And that was like a defining moment for me. It was very hard. I'm just trying to gather my thoughts here, but it's going back to that feeling. I get frustrated again thinking about that situation.
Yeah. And I mean, I can't imagine being in a situation like that, being told that over and over again and wanting so badly to change it. And like you're saying, relying on your faith and knowing that God has been with you, but wanting something to happen, wanting a miracle to happen, wanting to change that situation, and having always, like you said, been a positive person, just having something like that happen. So from that time, then, when that did happen, I mean, I know loss, you can't, it's an ongoing thing. It's never something that you get over. But how did you, from that moment, pull yourself or begin to pull yourself out of that pit that you were in?
Well, yeah, I mean, when they told us, hey, it's time, and when I said my goodbye, there was that moment where I was like, my daughter is not going to experience the love of her mom. And that, to me, I lost it at that time when I was thinking of that. As my daughter's never going to have her mom to ask questions about, to seek guidance of of growing up in this world, of wanting to be a woman. And, I'm a man. So right then and there, I was like, I'm already going to struggle at this point. And to me, the first thing I went to was my family. My brother and sister. I'm so grateful that we're so close to each other, and that was my first go-to with my family, and having them there to help me through that time. I'm just so grateful for them. And having 4 sisters, I know that she's, as far as Elise is concerned, is as far as like not knowing what to do when certain things come up for what girls go through. I knew I can go to them or my mom for advice. But just in that turn of events, I just told myself, I have a daughter. I mean, my daughter is the reason I'm still alive. At that time, I was like, whoa, this is crazy. I lost the love of my life at the time, and I just felt it was hard for me to come to grips with the fact that I think that's the one thing where I realized the true meaning of love was that one day you're eventually going to have to say goodbye to them. That's a double-edged sword of love with any relationship you go through. That's the closest experience to death that I have, is seeing someone close to you die, and I just wanted to make sure that in that moment, what are you remembered for? What things are you're going to be, that are you going to do to help better your situation? And I looked at my daughter as my pillar of strength. I just said that, mommy's still here. She's half of her, and I'm going to live life through her. I'm going to live the experiences that I've learned through this and help better our situation, because And I come from, my mom raising me most of my childhood life. So I just knew that, if she could do it, I could do it with just one,
Yeah.
And having my brothers and sisters there to help me, it definitely eased that burden.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to utilize them for a lot of the help.
And I love that, having that perspective of your mom having raised you and all of your siblings alone, and now you can rely on your family in turn, and they can help you and guide you in the areas that you need help with in raising your daughter. And it's just knowing that you have that circle of people around you who won't let you fall. And so from there, like you're saying, having your daughter be that pillar of strength for you and something that you look to, and it's that guiding light. So on the days that you don't feel like continuing, you don't want to keep going, that she's the one that is going to be that for you. She's that pillar that you can keep driving forward. And so from there, what then happened next? Did you continue to go after your football career? Did your sight shift? And what was the next step for you?
Well, and the next step was, I had a degree and I didn't know if I wanted to do football anymore. I just really just figured I wanted to do something. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I think that's the hardship of the post life of a college athlete, is you don't know what you want to do once that starts to settle in. Because I knew that the NFL was going to be a long shot. I came back, I was asking coaches what they thought, and a lot of them said, it'd be hard for you to try to get a walk on to a team. And so, but it depends on how determined you are. And at the time, I was like, you know what? My daughter needs me more than I need football. That's when I hung up the cleats and said, I'm not even going to try for the NFL. I just want to do something that I'm passionate about. And so I ended up leaving my football dreams alone, and that was an easier transition for me. I kind of didn't really care about football at the time, and I kind of resented football and said, you know what can I do? I didn't know what to do, but one thing about me is that I know that I see for a lot of answers in the weight room, just from that college athlete mindset that, whatever answers that I usually get, I can find it in the weight room just by, zoning out, and something with the physical body and the mental connection that I get from working out was what I kind of like was my tunnel or my sanctuary from all the big decisions that I was going to make. And in that moment, that's when I was kind of like, you know what, I want to do something that would help in the situation that I went through with my wife. I wanted to get in financial services. I want to help people learn about I guess, like, what's the word I'm thinking about? Life insurance. I was thinking about that. I was like, what's that insurance? But it was life insurance that I was wanting people to know about. I think one thing that hit me hard was the fact that the financial loss that comes with losing someone, and the whole experience of having to bury her and things like that. It all hit home to me that this was something I wasn't prepared for. This is something that most people aren't ever prepared for, and a lot of people aren't prepared for it financially if they were to lose someone, especially if it was a breadwinner. And for me, I just wanted to make sure that people were aware of these things, that this happens when we are going to say goodbye. We just don't know when, but it's best to be prepared for it. And that's what I wanted to get into. So I started with the company, did life insurance, and it really helped build my my self-confidence, being in the business and entrepreneurship and things like that. And this is around the time I was working out as well. So it felt good to use working out as a way to answer a lot of my problems.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. I mean, getting into a field then that you felt drawn to because of your own life experiences, something that you had went through yourself, and wanting to mitigate those issues for others, wanting to help people through that season of their lives. But then too, knowing, having been an athlete your entire life, the importance of working out and how you found that release and that peace in doing that. So having those two sides of pursuing this new passion, but at the same time, keeping up with the thing that was extremely important your entire life in working out.
Yeah.
So from there, getting into the line of work, the profession that you're in today, and continuing this fitness career of yours, how did you ultimately end up as a contestant on this season's Titan Games?
I think working out, getting that passion back like I did for football, I wanted to, find a way I can test my strength, test my ability, my agility. And, I was questioning the bodybuilding aspect of things, seeing if I can get into bodybuilding. And I just didn't know how much or the kind of dedication I wanted for it. So I just kept working out and didn't know what I wanted to do as far as a passion of mine. Because I know working out is a passion of mine, but I didn't know if I wanted to do bodybuilding and do CrossFit. CrossFit the big wave, and the CrossFit Games was really good, and I just didn't know what I wanted to do. So in that time frame, I just was working out, and I was playing volleyball on the side, and just having that competitive nature. I just wanted to find something. And it was in that time I was finding something. I saw an Instagram post of The Rock, and he was saying, "Hey, I'm creating this show, the Titan Games. I want you to come try out for it." And I was like, okay. The first initial ad, I was like, this is not for me. I don't know. This has got to be for somebody else. So I just ignored it. And I think it was like 2 or 3 months later, The Rock came out with another Titan Games saying, "Hey, I'm extending the deadline. If you look like you could be my cousin, this show is for you." And he for Samoa being a small kid, and I was like, the little kid inside me was like, okay, remember when you were watching the documentary of The Rock being the narrator or the commentator? And like, he's talking to you now. He's speaking directly to you. So I was like, you know what, let me put like a little 5-minute clip together and then just like tell my story. And it was crazy because I was working in the airlines as well, and one of my coworkers said, "Hey," I told him, "Hey, I might apply for this," and he told me, "No, you're not going to make it. You're not going to get anywhere with that." And he was completely negative with that thought, and I was like on the verge of not turning in the app, but I was like, you know what? I'm just going to prove this guy wrong and say, you know what? Watch me get called back, And so I submitted it, and it was crazy because when they called me, they were like, it was a guy with a British accent. I was like, of course it's a guy with a British accent. It's hilarious. If it's Hollywood, it's got to be someone with a British accent. And it was like, "Hey, are you still interested in the Titan Games?" I was like, "Yes." Not sure if like someone was like pulling my team, but other than that coworker, and I think I told my sister, no one knew, but so this had to be like, I was like, okay, someone's pulling a joke on me. It's got to be my coworker. He's really good with accents. You know what I'm saying? So it was a funny experience that it didn't feel real. And it's like, well, look, we're interested in you. We want you to come out. There's a thing called a combine we're doing. And I just laughed at that moment because the one thing that I didn't prepare for, not prepare for, but the one thing that I couldn't do, now I'm going to prep for again, was a combine.
Yeah.
And so that was a fun phone call for me to know that it was a combine that I was prepping for, and I was like, whoa, that's the first time I get to actually do a combine now. I get to do my 40 and things like that. And so I went to the combine, and when they purchased my ticket, that's when I knew it was real. I was like, okay, because I was in transition of moving to Anchorage, Alaska, and in that transition, I was telling them, "Hey, I'm moving here, and I don't know how that's going to work." Like, "Yeah, we'll fly you out." I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." And so they flew me out, and I was like, "Okay, this is real." And when I got there to the hotel and met all these people, I was like, "Whoa, that was a crazy experience to meet all these people and go through this combine when I'm doing the 40 and the obstacle that they had for us to do. And it was one of the funnest times of my life with these amazing people, and we're all like nervous, not knowing what's going to happen. And and so it was funny. I met the guy who actually found my tape. He said, what's crazy is you're one of the last guys. It was like that I happened to look at and then see your audition video that you sent in, and I picked it up and tweaked some things and then sent it to the people, and then the producers said that they wanted to invite me to the combine. So it was like everything was like last minute, but it happened the way it happened, and I was one of the ones that got called back. So it was crazy.
That's so cool. I love that story, and especially too how it came full circle. You got to actually compete at a combine, and it resulted in you ending up being a contestant on the Titan Games. It ended you earning that spot because of your competitiveness, and it was like you had been prepared for that moment anyway. You didn't know it was coming, but you were already prepared for it. That's so cool.
Definitely.
Yeah. And so from there, I mean, having that experience, I mean, being one of the final people chosen to compete and having this experience line up in this way, what would you say, just with all of and again, these interactions you had, these people that you had the chance to meet, what would you say would your definition of a Titan be? And how do you believe that this experience that you had in the combine and on the games this season will now carry over into the rest of your life?
Man, the definition of a Titan. Great question. So much that goes into that, being a Titan. But I believe that, my experience on the show, the Titan Games, teaches a lot about life. From the combine to actually getting that call from the Rock saying, hey, you made it, to actually meeting and competing against these other Titans, of their own lives. I think the Titan Games is a beacon of hope. It represents the beauty of life. When we go through these hardships and obstacles of life, brings our bodies in a way that motivates, to keep moving forward, to never be satisfied, and constantly changing and adapting. I think, that regardless of what we've gone through, someone would rather trade their problems for, mine. And that you don't know the challenges you're going to face in life. And just because you think you won your significant battle, we all have our own Mount Olympus to face, And when we overcome those struggles we face, on our own Mount Olympus, we become a Titan, and that Titan, that's what it means. It's endure pain, and what do you want to say when you label something? You kind of give it this thing, like being a Titan. I feel like it's a symbol of perfection, or a symbol of like someone who's a conqueror. But I also see a Titan as someone who is imperfect, someone who failed a lot, who uses failure as a way to push past and overcome it, and that success will come as long as you stay dedicated and consistent in your work ethic. And I think being a Titan is just that person who, regardless of the circumstances that he or she's given, whether it's losing a loved one, overcoming cancer. I mean, these people that I met, I hope everyone experiences that kind of feeling that I got from the Titan Games with just the people, meeting the people, the different athletes, the different walks of life. It's a very humbling experience to know, especially for me, that I'm not alone.
Yeah.
I think I was in a dark time, a very dark place in my life where I thought, it was just me against the world. And that's a very dark place to be, is when you feel isolated in a place filled with billions of people. And to finally meet these people and see this and hear their stories, it just gives me that image, that mirror in my face saying, what you're going through is what you're supposed to go through. And that regardless of what it is you're going through, as long as you push past it, that's when you'll realize that you're champion of it. And that's what I got from the Titan Games. That's why I feel like the definition of Titan.
Yeah.
As far as going into my life, and as far as going into my everyday life, I mean, when I met these people, they were always talking about what they did, what they went through, and how they went through it, and the decisions they had to make. Those decisions, whether it be small or big, it it's impactful because look at what it got them. It got them to be one of the 64. It got them to be able to compete against each other. And for me, I wanted to make my decisions like that. And that's why, during that time with meeting people, I feel like what's going to benefit me in life is to make the decisions that's going to make me happiest. That's going to fuel my passions. That's going to make me a better person than I was yesterday. I think one thing that people need to not worry about is the future, but understand the past. Because when you understand your past, the future automatically is going to change. Because you understand what the hardships that you went through, how it defined you, what came out of it, what regrets that you had from it. Because I had a lot of regrets losing my wife, and I became a better father, a better person, and I wanted to be a better lover because of it, because I had a lot of regret. And that's when I started opening my heart to seek for love again. And I think that's in that sense, I want my decisions that I will make from now on is to just have those things that I want. That's gonna motivate me. It's gonna bring the positive things that I want around my life. I want those decisions to align with that.
Yeah.
So that's what I got from the show.
Absolutely. And I think you hit on something so key when you're going through struggles and you're facing those insurmountable odds. I feel like they could just do you in at any moment. But then you being thrust into this group with 63 other individuals who also walked through hardship, who also overcame insurmountable odds and obstacles, giving you, again, another new perspective of getting to walk through life with these different people, knowing that even though they didn't experience the same things that you did, they did experience their own journeys, their own struggles, and having that opportunity to connect with and find that other sense of community where even though you were competing against them, you guys were competing against one another, you still had that unique sense of camaraderie that bound you together in what uniquely made you contestants and eligible to be even Titans. Yeah. So
it's definitely great.
Yeah. And so Elisara, I mean, just this life's journey that you led, and from the Titan Games and beyond, and all of that you've accomplished inside and out of it, and looking forward, knowing that you still have so much left to accomplish, and that you will accomplish, and being this light and this guider now through life for your young daughter. I just have one final question that I ask all of my interviewees: what do you want to be remembered for?
What do you want to be remembered for? That's a great question too. There's not an easy one to answer. It's hard to want to define myself, and I still feel like I get to open significant doors for myself. And down the line, maybe what people might remember me for. But for now, in any stage of my life, and it's kind of like that end-all question. I'll say I want to be remembered of someone who is a great father. I think the only person that could attest to that, it would be my kids.
Yeah.
And I want to be a great father. I want to be. I want to use myself as a tool to show my faith in God. Mm-hmm. I think I wouldn't be here in this position if I didn't have someone overlooking me and giving me that humility every time I make a decision. I want to be remembered as someone who isn't scared to make a decision that's going to hurt them later on in life, or just because I'm making a decision that based on what I feel is my passion, what I want, what I believe in. So I want to be remembered as someone who doesn't care about what other people think, or not what other people think, is care about what the wrong people think. Because there's a lot of people out there who want to do the best for you, and who genuinely want better for you. And I love that I was able to meet a lot of them through the Titan Games. I want to be remembered as someone who took chances. Because doing that submission video and getting that chance, I would never do this. I didn't take that chance. So I just want to be someone who's always wanting to be better, to pursue my passions in life. And regardless of what, other people think, that no one's going to experience happiness that you want to experience. Only you can experience that. Only you can find that. And I want to be someone who always puts boundaries and at the same time laugh doing it. One thing I use as a tool for mine to just help when it comes to meeting other people is being social and being able to make someone else laugh. I think when you do more for others and do less for yourself, you feel you define yourself more. And for me, I want to be remembered as someone who always found the light at the end of the tunnel, and he always can be there that you can call to help make you laugh, help you cry. To know that it's okay to make mistakes. I want to be remembered as a lover of life, and using my wife's, the experience I had with my wife and losing the mother to my daughter. I want to be remembered as someone who was able to overcome the greatest loss we can experience, and know that it's okay afterwards. That you'll find love again. That you'll experience all the things that life has to offer because I didn't want to think that was going to define me. That the label of a widow is the end all scenario when losing someone. And I think these things I hope don't define me, because I don't want to be defined of these things. It's just what I've gone through so far to put me in this position to say these things. Mm-hmm. But I can't wait what the rest of my life has to offer, and the people that are inspired by sharing my story more. And the platform that was given from The Rock, I'm just so grateful for him to even do this and give us this opportunity to show others that, I hope everybody can see themselves in us and see that it's okay that you're going through what you're going through, and you're going to overcome it. And when you overcome it, it's going to be worth it. And more people are going to want to hear your story. So I hope that's another thing I want people to remember me for, is to see me as them, and to be inspired by the fact that I don't let that define me, and just keep being undefinable.
Yeah.
and pursue anything and everything that makes you happy. And that I would say would be the best thing that I can remember me for.
I love that. I really do. And like you're saying, it's leading that life of authenticity and putting your real stuff out there. Open yourself up to love and to be loved, and being vulnerable so that other people, it's almost as if you're giving them permission and sharing your story if they feel compelled or inspired to open up and maybe to pursue something that they were afraid to before. Because you were brave enough to share your story, then that's enough. That's a life worth living. That's a legacy worth leaving behind.
I want to say one quick thing, because this is my little off the topic kind of thing I wanted to say is I was kind of iffy about not just doing the podcast with you. Was my story is so personal and it's so emotional that it's, for me, at a point where I was like, do I really want to share this? Do I want people to know about me in this way? Because it's a delicate, feeling to want to share your story with other people. But I, and trust me, when the show today came, and I actually started getting anxiety because of it. And I don't know if you noticed, but when you reached out to me first, I kind of ignored it, because I was like, me, I don't know if I want to get too. It's real, you get learning of what other people going through and how they did it and things like that. And so, and I when I was like, I gotta get on the podcast. I gotta tell my stories, because other than being on the show already, I just felt like, I want the world to see and to hear my story, because I want to better that one person that I felt like when I was by myself, it was me versus the world. I want to reach out to that one person who might need to know my story to get past whatever they're going through.
Yeah.
And so that's when I was like, what, this is reality. This is my life. I want that one person, if I can affect them in a way where it's a positive way, that, hey, there's a light in the tunnel. That's what I want to do. So that's, the little side note is it's very an emotional story, but I just want that one person, if not, to get impacted by my stories.
Thank you all for tuning in to today's installment of the Athletes of the Titan Games podcast. To learn more about each of these Titan athletes, be sure to check out their information in the links in my show notes. Furthermore, to stay up to date on all things coming out of the Keep Moving Forward Creators Studio, be sure to subscribe to the Keep Moving Forward podcast iTunes channel and follow along on social media, also available in the show notes. As the creator of the Titan Games, Mr. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson says, "Titans aren't born, they're made." And I hope today's story helped you realize all that you are capable of becoming if you put in that hard work and just keep moving forward.